Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ, Clifford, Juan, Soto. Let's have some fun today. One of us is going to have to go home and change, Soto. We're matching.
Darn.
It's embarrassing. One of us is... Does this mean I have to hate you for the rest of my life?
Bitch stole my look.
We went out with the same outfit.
It's all right.
When did that happen? Because whenever my 5-year-old sees like a little girl with like a bluey t-shirt, they're immediately like the best friends you can ever have. And then at some point that changes and they do 180s and then become mortal enemies forever.
Yeah. Usually when they start like liking makeup and like boys and they start being catty and in competition with one another. That's when it starts.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Guys don't care. Oh, damn, dude, what's up?
Nice taste. Yeah, it's awesome.
You go in and like 5 guys are wearing like NWO t-shirts. You're like, yeah, man, let's go.
Especially when it's like a niche thing. I'm in Vegas 15, 20 weekends a year before the Raiders moved there. And then obviously now as well. When I would see Raiders gear, you'd be like, it's rare, right? Like, oh, hell yeah, what's up, man? A little fist bump, especially we were both wearing it or something. Now that it's Raiderville, I feel like it's still cool. Like you still kind of give each other a nod or if they're well, like something I haven't seen before. Like I saw like a sweet ass Chucky shirt in Vegas last time I was there. Like I've never seen it before. Probably like a custom one. It's like, gave him a fist bump. Like, hell yeah. Because because when you're on the road, like Raider Nations, it's international. You know what I mean? It's not like you see a bunch of like Jacksonville Jaguars shit when you're out and about. You don't see like a bunch of Cleveland Browns stuff. It's like you'll see Cowboy stuff everywhere. You'll see. I mean, that's kind of it.
I mean, when I see a guy with Raider gear on, my opening like line is always, "Are you a real Raider fan?" Because what are they gonna say? Yeah, hell yeah, man, I'm a real Raider. All right, cool. And then I'll tell them about the Windbags or tell them about Raiders versus the World or something. But
you're just waiting for one of them to be like, "Yes, I am," and they unzip their pants and show
no.
Their dick.
No, see, that's something different. That's not because
when you want to see a real Raiders helmet.
Look, when I talk to the ladies, my opening line is, "Should I be talking prices with you or with the pimp?" I don't want to step on any toes here.
That's number one rule in pimping. No stealing, no poaching hoes.
Yeah, that's extra if you want to step on toes.
It's boats and hoes, not poaching hoes. So
actually, wait a second. You said boats and hoes. I did a thumbnail for Brandon Hunt, the new vice president of player personnel that we got from the Eagles. And because there's Spytek and Hunter steering the ship, I did a thumbnail for the video in Raiders versus the World. It said boats and pros, but it was like the actual picture of boats and hoes. I just photoshopped the faces of Spytek and Brandon Hunt, and that video did terrible.
That was my next question. I was like, "Oh, did everyone get the pun?"
Awful. It did so bad. I probably have 400 views on it. It's so bad. And then I did a video of who's going to replace Wilkinson or Wilkins, and I had a picture of Wilkins' face, and then a picture of JJ Pegues' face, and then a picture of Tonka Hemingway's face, and that one's already at 2,000.
It's not an exact science, that whole thumbnail game at all. That's why
boats and pros, dude. That's so good. You don't have to watch the video. Just go to Raiders versus the World just to see the thumbnail.
Just give it the click so Soto keeps making thumbnails.
You don't need to watch it. I'm not begging you to watch it. Just go look at the thumbnail.
I'm begging you to watch it. Go watch it. Subscribe. Raiders versus the World.
Some of my best work. That and the Derek Carr Scorched Earth was probably 2 of my best ones.
So is it time, Soto? Is it time to start our annual off-season tradition?
Well, there's no player with 101 jersey, but I mean, yeah, let's do it.
100.
I mean, technically, it's 99 until the first game.
Yeah, but we don't care about that. It's Raiders. The season doesn't start until Daniel Carlson does the first kickoff, right? Then the actual NFL season begins. 101 days until Raiders opening day.
Where's the criminal?
He's not a criminal.
Unless it's a crime to bleed silver and black.
Raider Dave!
This is our year. Raider Nation will rise again.
Raider Dave is back, baby. Let the countdown begin. 101 days. It's going to go by fast, boys.
Guys, we always say this. It's going to go by fast, and it's like in big chunks. It's 78 days. Oh, great, whatever. Then it's 40 days. And you're like, whoa, it's close. And then it's freaking 15 days. We're like, what? Yeah.
It's less than 3 months. Yeah. It's less than 3 months.
Fast.
We'll start getting into like
for a while. You could miss
some tight end jersey numbers coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. Maybe some defensive linemen.
It's gonna be real, man. Like it's happening fast. So I've been like, kind of feeling, I feel like my feelings towards there's been so many seasons where like this is our year. We got in the last 20 years being like we could do this. Like, the pieces are coming together. I'm getting tingly down in my plums. And I've kind of been eviscerated. We've been right one time, right? Like I remember when our buddy Mike Trevino, he rented a room for me for a while, and it was in 2016. And he doesn't watch football. He's like, I'm Mexican and I'm from LA. Like I should be rooting I should probably be a Raiders fan. I'm like, dude, I think you picked a good season. I think everything's gonna be firing this year. And of course, it was the one year that the biggest what if year, right? Derek Carr breaks his leg, and we don't need to rehash it and be depressed. So I feel like that part of me is dead forever. Just the ultimate optimism. But I will say this. I feel like I'm like Mark Davis now, where it's like, yeah, man, I think the pieces are there. Like we talked about last show. The pieces are there. Like we should be pretty good, We'll have to wait and see. Like the guys have to deliver. Or the level of excellence we demand is high, and we have faith that the right people are here, and we should be doing the right things, but show me, right? We're not going to let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet. What movie is that from?
Yeah.
The comments.
I think what happens a lot of times is, like I was talking a couple of weeks ago with about Mark Davis, when you have to squint at things, you kind of have to lie to yourself a little bit so you don't like hit the bottle a little too early and miss the entire season. So we don't have to like squint. Quarterback, we got it. Offensive line, we fortified it with a couple of draft picks. We got a signing. Defense, we fortified the defense. We got some more playmakers in there. We got new coaches. We got new people in the front office. The draft looks good. It's no super big reaches. We got a couple of undrafted free agents. We got a freaking monster from rugby, and just a bunch of guys from everywhere. And it just seems like things are running normal-ish, So it's like you don't have to squint anymore. And because you're not having to like lie to yourself about how good we could be, you kind of have to sit back and be like, all right, well, let's just sit back and see.
Yeah, I'm not overly optimistic about next season in a bubble. I think this roster has been devastated by Gruden, Josh McDaniels, those regimes where it's just been piss poor players drafted and bad free agency moves for several seasons. So we've had back-to-back pretty good seasons of personnel moves, and it takes more than 2 good personnel seasons to put together a Super Bowl winning roster. But I will say, as bullish as I am about next season specifically, I am very optimistic about the long term for all the reasons you brought up, right? Coach, quarterback, back-to-back good draft years, no giant dumbassery in free agency. It's less about like, people say like, all right, it's like, preseason, like, are you jacked to be a Raiders fan? Like, I'm excited to be a Raiders fan because I'm going to be a Raiders fan for the next, probably 60 years until I, plan to be 101. Yep. Next season, I don't want people talking shit. I don't want my like Charger and Broncos buddies talking shit. I'm like, I don't know. AFC West is also getting better, right? We still have some catching up to do, but I'm looking forward to the next like decade of Raiders football. And I think that's the most kind of like calming. It's more calming effect, right? Like I'm looking forward to not needing an Advil every Sunday afternoon.
And washing it down with a scotch. So
that should have a name.
should,
Advil
right?
Scotch.
We're gonna call that the John Gruden.
The silver and black and tan. Silver and black.
That's not
Ooh, that would
bad.
be a great drink. What would be a silver and black and tan? There's no
That's
Patron.
silver. We really got. What do you put a spoon in there or something to drink it?
Well, Patron silver. Obviously, not gonna get the color. Is that like a cheat? I need the color. We'll think about it.
Blech.
And it makes you barf.
Terrible, dude. That
The last
sounds
10 years of
terrible.
football.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, the moves to be most excited for in the long term is the front office, man.
Yeah.
You get a guy like, Brandon Hunt. That's a big hire, dude. That's a big hire. He was with the Broncos when they won. Excuse me. He was with the Steelers for like 13 years when they were winning in the playoffs when they went to Super Bowls, and he was there. He was in the front office. He goes to the Eagles and they win a Super Bowl, and they have great free agent moves and they have great drafts. And it's like
Best roster in football.
top to bottom. And it's like, you don't get there by having a guy ride coattails. That's one thing that people were saying was, oh, well, this is his first draft. And, Spytek's never ran a draft before. Slow down, cowboy, because he's been in organizations who have won. Everywhere he's gone, they've won. So it's not like he's sitting there and just kind of, in the background, just kind of riding the wave when everyone else is doing the heavy lifting. No, everyone there has to do their part and have to do it well. Plus, you learn. And one of the big things about having a guy like Brandon Hunt in there is, and Spytek said this himself, he doesn't have time to grind all the tape that he likes to do in previous drafts because he's, doing other things. So you get a guy like Brandon Hunt, who also is a tape grinder, and you get him to do that, plus coach up and teach these scouts how to do things the way that John Spytek likes them done. Because you roll all that information has to roll up to him, and that whole teaching environment is huge, man. You get guys that are successful, that know what they're doing, and they're willing to teach and learn from each other. What did Spytek and Carroll say in the first press conference? We want to get guys from outside too, good people from outside, and Brandon Hunt was one of them. So that's another big get for the Raiders for sure.
So next season, we should be better than last season, unless something goes down, absolutely terribly wrong. But according to ESPN, we're going to be drastically bigger. ESPN says the Raiders will be the most improved team from last season to this season. And I quote, "No team made bigger strides in the two most important positions than the Raiders. Geno Smith is multiple tiers better than Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, which should provide weekly above-average quarterback play. Pete Carroll is multiple tiers better at head coach than Antonio Pierce, who struggled with in-game and locker room management. Those changes alone should massively raise the Raiders' floor, and the presence of potential offensive stars such as Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty elevate the ceiling. I expect the Raiders to be around 500 this season so long as they endure the defensive departures." So people are noticing. Now, I think also a big chunk of that is just how bad the Raiders were last season. Worst rushing game in football, worst quarterback room, bottom 5 coach, right? So we were we were a terrible 4-win team.
Well, we didn't have a starting running back on the roster. We didn't have a starting quarterback on the roster. We didn't have a guy who was capable of being a head coach on the roster. And our good players that we had on defense were all hurt. So drastically, we're going to get better on defense from last season because the majority, Christian Wilkins may not be, but the majority of those players are back. Mm-hmm. Plus, you add new players in. The guys that left, they were good players and everything, but they weren't like cornerstone pieces. These aren't debilitating losses here. And we got some new guys to come in too, plus some of the draft picks and stuff like that. And you improve in 2-3 basically with offensive coordinator of the most important positions on your team, and you get what people are saying is maybe a generational talent at running back. You're going to get a lot better.
Yeah, I think the changes from last year, I think it's a big chunk of how bad we were, and then I don't think the defense got better, other than obviously the injured players being, and again, we still got to see how uninjured these guys are, right? Like Max Crosby says he's 100%. We got to wait and see. Malcolm Kuntz, he's still not. We'll get to it in a second here, but he's still not practicing. Still recovering from, the surgery. Christian Wilkins, woof. We'll get to that in a minute. And then we lost a bunch of starters on defense. Can this next crop of guys fill that gap and be better? We'll wait and see. But offense, I mean, the O-line didn't get worse, and everything else got exponentially better. Better. Like, and the most important stuff, quarterback, head coach, offensive coordinator, head coach, GM, obviously Ashton Jeanty, 6th overall, the running back room all of a sudden got better. So we got some rookie wide receivers that should, kind of optimistic that they'll deliver early, right? A couple developmental guys, but should do well early. Like,
you get a Michael Mayer with his head right on his shoulders,
right? Hopefully he put, whatever demons, behind him are dead and buried under 6 feet of dirt, right? So it's just like, and it's also not just the humans, like the carbon-based life forms. It's the anarchy that came with what was going on last season, right? The injury to Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins doesn't just mean minus 2 great players. It's now also the whole locker room. Like, there goes our leader. There goes the cornerstone of our defense. There goes, all this shit, right? Like, all that shit's behind us. So there's some adults in the room, Soto, at the top, and then they got a bunch of good bodies.
Oh, yeah.
Things around.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look at this team and say that they're not going to be markedly better. Mm-hmm. The only way that someone would say that is like, oh, well, they got a bunch of the same guys from last season on their defense. How's it going to be? Well, yeah, because, this is like mainstream media looking at the Raiders. They don't ever look at the Raiders. They just look at the highlights and like, okay, just brush over stuff. No, if you really look at it, most of their defense was injured. They're getting the guys back. We replaced guys who were just as good, the guys that left in free agency, and we got some good draft picks that seem to have some potential. So we're already going to be better defensively, just by default. Offensively, I mean, it's not even close. The quarterback that we have now as opposed to who we had last year, it's just not close. And you can be an Aiden O'Connell fan. We're Aiden O'Connell fans. We like the kid, but we're also realistic, and we know that Geno Smith is a better quarterback. He just is. And then you get, Ashton Jeanty, who has not taken a snap, but by all accounts, seems to be the real deal. People said the same thing about Brock Bowers. Oh, is he hurt? Why isn't he practicing? Why isn't he doing this? Well, because they saw. You can see it. You can tell, right? When you look at tape and you see a guy he's just better than everybody else, regardless of position, they pop off the screen. And Brock Bowers was that guy last year, and Brock Bowers said that Ashton Jeanty is that guy this year. So the guy who was that guy last year said this guy is the guy this year. That's just like that. On top of that, you get a guy in Jack Bech who, with all reports, he's not guardable by anybody. He's always wide open, which is great. Jack Bech is like a mini Brock Bowers. Former tight end, a little smaller, but plays the same way.
The basement has been drastically raised. I don't think the ceiling is where we want it to be yet. That's going to be in the future.
We know where it is. Honestly, because you look at offensively. Look, offensively, we were a nightmare last year, and the things that we needed to improve on got better. We got more weapons on the outside. We got a much better running game as far as the running back goes. And I mean, I don't think that this all was the offensive line's fault, because you put Sincere McCormick in there and he started doing some things. Amir Abdullah went in there and started, running the thing. It's like, it's different. You watch tape and you see guys who constantly make guys miss at the line of scrimmage, which was what Josh Jacobs did very well. Yeah, that's the NFL. If you have guys that can't do that, like Zamir White, unfortunately, showed that he couldn't do that, or like Alexander Madison showed he couldn't do it consistently. Yeah, you're not going to have a good running game. So it's like, that's better. And it's just offensively by itself. It's just,
honestly, I think the biggest jump, Luke Getsy to Chip Kelly.
That's huge.
I think that's bigger. I think it's bigger than Farva to.
I don't know, man. I think the AP to Pete Carroll is pretty big.
AP, that's big. I'll put
You're talking about a guy a first year guy who was never a coordinator or anything in NFL. just a position coach to a lock Hall of Famer. Like I think that's a pretty big jump.
I think Luke Getsy was the worst offensive coordinator in football last season.
Yeah, he's pretty bad.
I think he's that bad. And Chip
That's
Kelly.
the only reason I have any type of any type of, I wouldn't say hope, but any type of positive thought for Justin Fields with the Jets, because he's away from Luke Getsy.
And then with Chip Kelly, highest paid offensive coordinator in football. Way too early to say he's the best, but I think he's the wild card here. Is what kind of offense is he going to bring, going from national championship college team to the NFL with a roster that's lacking on depth and not a great O-line, but a lot of possibilities. Like a lot of guys that's like, let's figure out exactly what these pieces do well and put them in a position to succeed. So offense, I couldn't be more excited. You're a little bit more optimistic on the defense than I am. I still think this is a very much below average defense. And that's especially with Christian Wilkins. If he plays, probably be a shell of himself. Hoping that Max and Kuntz come back 100%. They're still young. There's reason to believe they'll be back, but that's something to look at. Very untested linebackers, very untested DBs. You're talking earlier about like, well, you don't have to squint. With the offense, you don't have to squint. To be optimistic about the defense, you kind of be like, these guys need to be like, they're now in a position where they can prove that they're good. They haven't proved it yet, but they're in Jeremy Jin, best example. Like he hasn't proved he's good. He's now getting a chance. And for the money, that was a great deal. Like we're optimistic, but again, you're optimistic about him, right? You're not optimistic about Geno Smith. You know what he is. You know how good he is. You're not optimistic about Brock Bowers. You know how good he is. Some of the defensive pieces, you're like, let's hope so. Let's hope Patrick Graham can make him work.
Dude, Brock Bowers is going to get 175 targets next year. He'll get 10 targets a game easy.
You want to, all right, let's go out of order. I like, that's called in the business, what we call the segue in the business. A little game I want to play with you guys.
All right.
Raiders leaders in receptions next season. What order are they going to be in? Because I think this will be fun with a nice, like an interesting and very diverse crop of rookie wide receivers. A clear number one target. Where do like the speedsters roles go? How much is the run game involved? How much are the running backs involved in the passing game? I think this will be. I'm very curious. I kind of put more or less mine on the rundown. I'm curious if yours is pretty close or not. So, number one is no brainer, right? You said 175 targets. He should be. It's so weird saying a guy's going to be an over 100 reception guy because that's so rare, but it's just like
you have to.
How do you not throw the ball his way 12 times a game? He's always open. He can play anywhere. He's schematically independent. Like I'll tell you this: if he doesn't get that much, that's a good thing because that means everyone else is feasting. That means there's like 3 guys open, and he's like, okay, I won't go to Brock this time because that's the only way Brock doesn't get like you said, 175 something targets.
For sure.
Or we have like the greatest running game ever. You know what I mean? Like or it's because we run the ball 65% of the time or something. You know, it's got to be something drastic like that. A good reason for Brock not to get that number of receptions.
All right, my order. So you want to give him your order?
Let's just kind of go and debate each one, right?
Brock's number one. Let's go to number 2.
Number 1. Easy. I think
knowing what I know of Chip Kelly's offenses, Jeanty is going to be number 2.
That many, huh? That many passes to the running back?
Dude, I mean, Jeanty, people don't realize this a lot, but Jeanty, his junior season or his second season before he came out, he led the nation in receiving yards at running back. Mm-hmm. So he's a good receiver out of the backfield. And Chip Kelly loves to throw the ball to the receivers. Look what we did last year. Those guys were running the ball and both of them were running and catching the ball. So I think it's going to be Jeanty, then Jacoby after that,
I had Jacoby and Jeanty. And the reason, because I think, and this is the reason why, I think Jeanty, obviously tight ends and running backs don't run the exact same routes, but semi-similar. Like they're all the shallow and intermediate routes. I think Brock will cannibalize some of Jeanty's. Because I'm with you 100%. Fantastic catcher of the ball out of the backfield. And probably the worst part of his game is pass blocking. So if it is a pass play, he's got to get better at it, right? We're you're 6th overall. We want you good at everything. So he needs to work on that. And especially this O-line, not amazing. So I don't know. I think between needing him to pass block a little bit and Brock cannibalizing those type of routes, I got Jacoby 2 and Jeanty 3. But I'm definitely getting what you're saying with how good he is as a pass catcher out of the backfield.
I am not as high on Tucker as you are.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a very good receiver as far as like running routes and getting open. He's probably one of the worst, actually, like statistically, at creating separation. And at targets per route run, he just doesn't get open.
So I'm with you, but I think also, and the reason why I have him 4 is I have him. Well, so I got him 4 and I got Bech 5, right? The reason, and I flip flopped a bunch of times over today. I think I erased and redid them 3 times, right? But this was the tiebreaker for me. A couple things. One, we had the worst quarterback room for throwing deep balls, and that's Trey Tucker's thing, right? Like these guys can, that was the worst part of their game. Jimmy and Aiden is throwing 20, 25, 30 yard, deep balls, and that's what he is. He's the speedster, gets behind the DBs because everything you said was right. He's not a guy that's going to break. He's not a big body that can break separation. He's not going to bully a guy. If he gets beat up on the line, he's kind of fucked. But if he has a little bit of a pad, one double move, and he could be gone. And Geno Smith can hit those passes, whereas our quarterbacks last year couldn't. And again, with Bech, rookie, there's always the rookie wide receivers rarely hit. Like we've seen a couple, right? But it's rare for the rookie wide receiver to be amazing first year. It's Devontae took several years, like a lot of guys took a lot of years to get good. So that was the time, because everything you said was true about Trey Tucker. But I think with the better deep ball thrower in Geno and just the fact that Bech is rookie and those guys take time to develop, I went 4 Tucker, 5 Bech.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you're not putting into account here is we drafted a much taller, faster version of Trey Tucker who can body people, who can go up for 50-50 balls in Dante Thornton. So
how
as fast as Trey Tucker was, Dante Thornton was statistically, numerically faster. He's about what?
7 inches taller?
7 inches taller?
Like yeah.
With the wingspan and the vertical. I mean, I'm just saying that his niche is now being eaten into by somebody who's superior physically. That's my issue with Tucker. He no longer corners the market on the deep route.
No, but Dante Thornton had 26 receptions last year.
Yes, and I'll get into that because you brought it up. I'll get into it because that's a big misconception about why he had that. Tennessee did not use him other than how Tucker was used before. He was not throwing the ball. He had 26 receptions and 6 touchdowns. So almost 1 out of every 4 catches was a touchdown. If he was throwing the ball if 2 things happened. Number 1, if the safety did not bite on the play action. Okay, so if the safety bit, he was available to throw the ball because one-on-one, he was not able to be guarded. Okay, and then Nico, the quarterback, had to throw him the ball. But when he was open a ton of times. I watched a bunch of tape on this dude. He was open a lot, and he only ran like 3 or 4 routes. So he wasn't being taught how to run routes. That's one of the big things I have, it kind of irks me about the college game, is they just, what do you do well? Okay, we're just going to do that because we need to win right now, and we're paying you a lot of money in NIL, and we don't want you to go anywhere else because we're teaching you to do something that maybe not as good at. So they were just using him as a deep decoy, basically. So that's the only reason he got 26 catches. It wasn't like he had this crazy drop rate or all this. He was getting all these crazy targets. They weren't throwing him the ball.
Well, they weren't throwing the ball because he only ran 2 routes, right? He was so limited on what he could. That's
all Tucker runs.
Tucker's got more than 2, right? He's not Brock Bowers who's going to destroy.
If you're really going to argue with me for just argument's sake that Trey Tucker is a better target to throw to or a more advantageous target to throw to than somebody who's faster, taller, can jump higher, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Well, if you let me finish. One, we have to be able. You can't argue that Trey Tucker can run more routes than Dante Thornton did last season. Can he run? Look, I love Dante Thornton. I think he will eventually replace Trey Tucker, but again, rookie, and he's even less developed than Bech, like exponentially so. He's a project. He's a big project. He might not see the field hardly ever this season, right? And that's with the Raiders having terrible wide receiver depth. Again, I love him. We're talking next season, number of receptions. And Trey Tucker's just a proven commodity.
Mm-hmm.
And Dante Thornton is just a wild card of wild cards. And he's not even the best rookie wide receiver that we drafted. So, again, you didn't say anything that was false. You didn't say anything that I can argue against as like factually incorrect. It's just, he's just a giant project. Huge work, as like few guys are as green as him that are drafted that high, right? He didn't do a lot at Tennessee for all the reasons you mentioned, but also what he was capable of too. But those physical tools got the Raiders drooling, me drooling. But it's time. It's gonna take some time. And if he is the 1 in a million, that's exaggerating. But if he is the very very rare guy that can like make the giant, if he's like the Puka Nacua, right, that can make that giant jump from college to pro and not skip a beat, but be better than you were from whence you came from, then this is great. But that is so rare, so rare for even first round, like great wide receivers to do that. And that's more nothing about Dante Thornton, the human. It's more like historically his situation. Do those guys get crazy targets and crazy catches year one? It's very, very rare.
So I'm not arguing that Dante Thornton is a better player than Trey Tucker. I'm saying they do a lot of the same things. Even if Tucker is better, Dante Thornton is going to eat into the opportunities of Trey Tucker. Mm-hmm. So that's why I don't think because even when we had nobody at receiver last season, he didn't light the world on fire. Mm-hmm. So now that we have more talent, he's going to get more. No, that's not the way it's going to work.
Well, his route is doable now. Like deep posts and goes are now a threat with Geno Smith, and they weren't last year. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and
he's experienced.
But another thing, you brought up Puka Nacua. That's basically that's Jack Bech's game. If Brock Bowers and Hunter Renfrow had a kid, it would be Jack Bech. Mm-hmm. He's a similar play style to a Brock Bowers, where he's a smaller tight end who gets open on physicality and quick movement, and he can get open in small spaces because he was a tight end when he was at LSU. I mean, Brian Thomas, the stud all everything receiver from the Jaguars, and Malik Neighbors, they were both teammates of Jack Bech when they were all freshmen at LSU, and Jack Bech led the team in receptions. He's not a slouch. He's not a bum. He's not an afterthought. He's a good player, and he's a much better route runner right now than Trey Tucker is as a rookie. Mm-hmm. He's big. He's physical. And he's going to be able to do more in an offense than Trey Tucker can do. So that's why I see Bech, that on top of Thornton eating into some of the opportunities of Tucker. That's why I see Bech over Tucker.
Yeah, I still think Tucker over Bech because I think Brock, Jacoby, and Jeanty eat into Bech's game more because the only guy that really does what Tucker does is the biggest project on offense, who's a rookie. So, yeah, you're right. I think both are going to eat into him, but Tucker's the only guy minus a rookie that's a huge project. Whereas There's a lot of guys that could run really good intermediate. I can't believe I'm saying this. The Raiders have a bunch of guys that can run a lot of awesome intermediate routes.
Well, another thing too, I think Mostert is going to be a lot closer to Tucker than people think.
Okay.
Because
so is your top 5 Brock, Jacoby, Jeanty, Tucker, Bech in whatever order? Not in that order, but are those your 5?
Yeah, I think Tucker and Mostert's going to be really close.
Because you're Brock, Jeanty, Jacoby, Bech, Tucker.
Tucker / Mostert. They're going to be really close.
I think Michael Mayer.
They're going to be within 5 receptions of one another.
I think Michael Mayer will be 6 because I think he'll get a lot of play because again, Brock Bowers he's a tight end in name. He's a weapon that can be everywhere. And the O-line, and if we're running passing routes, Brock blocking is a waste. O-line's going to need some help blocking. It's not really Jeanty's game. He's better out there. So I feel like Mayer is going to do a lot of lining up next to tackles. I think he'll get a lot of play. I think he'll get a lot of time on the field, either blocking or passing. I think he'll be on the field a lot, way more than Mostert. Can we agree on that? Mayer will get more.
I don't know if he's going to run as many routes as Mostert. He's going to be in there a lot, but he's going to be blocking a lot.
And then I had Mostert 7.
This Chip Kelly just historically, he just loves throwing to the running back.
Yeah,
he loves it. He has 2 guys that can catch the ball. I mean, when Mostert a couple of years ago, I mean, I don't know if I discussed it on here, but when Mostert last year had an off season, it's because he had a fractured rib. He had a fractured sternum.
He was a dude. Fuck, man. We went from the worst
2 years ago when he was healthy. He had 21 touchdowns, and almost half of them were receiving touchdowns.
We had the worst running back room in football.
He can make it happen.
And now it's we had the worst running back room in football last season, and now I like it. I really like our running back room, just with those 2 guys.
It wasn't like Mostert had a bunch of leg injuries and this and that. He had a freaking cracked sternum. That can't heal. It can't heal when you keep getting hit. I had a cracked sternum once, and I couldn't even take a deep breath. I was going to say, taking a dump sleep in a recliner.
Yeah, he is 33. That's the only thing. Not a lot of running backs at 33 are.
Well, he's not going to be asked to be the lead back.
Yeah,
which is why they
lose number
5-ish. I would say
they lose a step. But I think he's grossly underrated.
Yeah, he went from 4.3 to 4.4. He's so slow now.
OTA observations. I like to use The Athletic for these. If you have a favorite beat writer, that's at OTAs. You can insert here whatever you would like, but I like The Athletic. A couple things. Injuries. Mumford, present, not participating. No one knows why. They are Mumford. And then the 3 defensive linemen, which is what we're all keeping an eye on. Good news, the best news, Max Crosby's there, practicing 100%. Should be, he had a pretty major surgery. I saw him at UFCs, and he had the boot with the scooter. He wasn't on crutches. He had the little one-legged scooter everywhere he went. That was back in January. Saw him. But it seems like he's practicing 100%. He should be close to that, if not that. Great news. Malcolm Kuntz still out. Present, but not participating in any drills. Definitely keep an eye on that one. And then the most depressing thing of all, Christian Wilkins, as we've talked about. If you missed the show last week, he was in a walking boot, out of a walking boot, in a walking boot. Pete Carroll did not sound optimistic at all. Was it you or Rory that in our text chain brought up the tweet from a Seahawks fan who's like, whenever Pete Carroll talks about injuries, it's always the most optimistic thing ever. He's like, yeah, his leg's chopped off, but he's a real tough guy. We're gonna rub some dirt in it. He should be back in a couple weeks. You know what I mean? No matter what the injury was, he was always like, this guy's gonna be great. It's fine. We're not worried about it at all. When we talked about Christian Wilkins, it was like, it's tougher than we thought. He's doing his best. We'll keep an eye on it. Not great.
Yeah, the length of the rehab here, it's leaning towards. So
length and the girth.
The four most common things with the Jones fracture is either the bone doesn't heal at all. It doesn't heal. Okay, there's that. It heals, but it's either crooked or doesn't heal properly. That's the second one. There's like nerve or muscle damage, right? Because of the surgery. There's that. Or there's like something like a compartment syndrome where there's swelling of the muscles. And those are the four major things that can happen with the Jones fracture. The first two are easy fixes. You just go back in there and you re-break it and you wire it and you fix it. The last two are tough because you can go in there and try to redo the surgery, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to either alleviate some of the pressure from if it's like more of like a compartment syndrome, or you're going to be able to regenerate the nerve firing. That those are tougher ones because that can lead to drop foot, which is like you're pretty much done if you get that. But it's not. The foot's got. I mean, these guys weigh a lot and they cut, and they're making sharp moves, and they're always on their feet. It's like it's really tough, man. That's tough.
I wish you had an only feet account so we can see the development.
Something, man, because this is
progressing.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's the number one for me. It's the number one story in preseason training camp is the status of that foot.
Because he's such a great player, number one, and number two, because that's such a jacked up injury. Like those feet injuries, man, those are brutal, man. It cost a lot of good players out there were never able to recover from that. Cuts a lot of unfortunately, I'm not gonna wish bad on the man, but it's in the past, it's cut a lot of very promising careers short.
If he doesn't play this season,
good God.
We'll have paid him what $24 million for 3.5 games. Woof. All right, to the other side of the from defensive line to O-line. Left tackle Colt Miller, center Jackson Powers Johnson, right guard Alex Kappa, and right tackle DJ Glay, soon to be locked into starting spots. Dylan Pardon and Jordan Meredith rotated at left guard throughout practice. So we know how much Spytek likes Kappa. We'll see if that pans out or not. Glaze at right tackle. What is his intel taken? I think is fair to say. He was a starter last season, and think Pete Carroll believes in open competition, but I think he has to be.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He either has to take a step back or someone steps up huge for him to lose, right? And then obviously Colton Miller, Jackson Powers Johnson, left tackle and center. So left guard, the only open spot.
Yeah. Glaze's big deal is he showed a lot more lateral movement during the season that he did in tape. That was like one of the big things. Is he going to kick into guard? Can he be a better guard? His lateral movement is not as good to be able to handle those edge rushers, and that wasn't a problem. He didn't play like a rookie. He did really well. So I don't see him losing a spot. If anyone's going to lose a spot, it's probably going to be in the future. It'll be a Colton Miller because he's over 30 and they have a young stud potential superstar in Charles Grant. Give him a couple years to develop, but I think like exactly what it says. Parham and Jordan Meredith are going to be the guys that are battling it out.
So not an O-line that strikes fear in the hearts of anybody, but I think if they can get JPJ, if he keeps developing, it'd be amazing. Colton Miller, proven commodity, damn good left tackle. DJ Glaze, starter material, and then we got to figure out the guard situations. But a little continuity, little creativity in the blocking scheme at a chip. I've been saying I think this offense will be the thing. I think if anything holds it back, it will be the O-line. If the O-line can get together and be average to be average, I think we put up serious points. But it's going to be up to the O-line. We talked about squinting. The O-line's the one thing on offense where it's like, let's hope for the best. And the best is possible, right? The best is definitely possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, the receiving core, you do have to do a little bit more squinting than these guys. But yeah,
Well, yeah,
because
all
our
pass
tackles have
catchers.
shown that they're legitimate players. So is our center. Kappa had a rough season last season, but he was injured. I mean, he went on the IR twice, so he was injured. That's not normally who he is as a player. And you have two guys who are decent players battling it out for another position. So, and a couple of young bucks that are going there and going to be knocking on the door too. So, I mean, I don't know if it's debatable whether it's going to be the receiving core, because again, there's a couple of young guys there, a couple of guys who are you're looking for. Because if Tucker's the same guy he's been in the past, we need him to be more. If he's going to be the guy that you think he's going to be.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say wide receiver room. I was thinking pass catchers as a whole, but yeah, yeah, for sure. Wide receiver room, it's Jacoby and rookies.
Jacoby and a bunch of young guys.
Yeah. Other observations, just a couple quick ones. Jeremy Chin, speaking of Dante Thornton, have had some fun back and forth, both making big plays on each other. Trey Tucker apparently had a couple really good plays in training camp. Tommy Malott got a lot of action at slot receiver.
Dude,
whether it's
Tommy Malott,
getting him,
God, this kid.
Whether it's just getting him reps because he's learning a new position, or they're straight up like, okay, this is a Swiss Army knife of random shit that he can do. Let's get him some time.
The lazy comparison is Julian Edelman because of Tom Brady connection, and he was a quarterback in college. And dude, Julian Edelman ran a 4.5 240. Okay, he didn't run a 4.3 40. All right, and Malott had over 3,500 yards rushing in college, so he's more Deebo Samuel than Julian Edelman, because he can run the ball and he can catch the ball. And I think he's going to be a lot bigger weapon in very kind of a situational type of, special plays and things like that. Or he could be a whole lot bigger weapon. Who knows?
He might have been the best running back on our roster if he was on our roster last season.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
look, man. Well, I said it in the videos when I was breaking down the draft picks. If you're gonna play in FCS, you better dominate, and that's exactly. Dude, he was a freaking Walter Payton Award winner, the best offensive player in the FCS. Dude is special. Throwing the ball, he's whatever. He's below average NFL quarterback. But as far as him with the ball in his hands, he's running away. I showed you the video last week. He's running away from DBs. Like he's smoking these guys. And yeah, FCS is not like bums. These are like legit guys still that are fast. And he's leaving them in the dust. The dude's good, man. The dude can do some things.
He's somebody you can get creative with, right? And it's weird how it's such a shitty thing in football. Had an
offensive coordinator.
I think it's like such a shitty thing in football where you can be an amazing football player, but if you don't fit in a box, you're kind of overlooked,
That's why he lasted so long. That's why he didn't go to any of the bowls, like the East-West Shrine game or the Senior Bowl, because you didn't know where to put him.
Yeah, he was a quarterback, right? He played quarterback.
But he's not going to be a quarterback in the pros.
Yeah.
But this dude, man, this guy, just go watch. I'm going to tell you this. Go watch that tape where I break down Tommy Malott's film. Go watch that. You're going to be surprised at what you see.
And finally, this is basically an AJ Cole fan podcast because he doesn't get nearly enough love that he deserves.
How does he
can't be loved. He can't be loved by us. Then who will? Got an extension, 4 years, $15.8 million extension.
Or extensions.
Or a punter. He still had 1 year left on his deal, $11 million guaranteed. So we've got him for the next 5 years. Locked up the best punter in football. Nice bump up. His last deal was 4 years, 12 mil. So now 4 years, 15.8. That doesn't even keep up with the raise in the salary cap. So he got a raise, but it's like proportionally less in 2025 than it was in 2021, if that makes sense, right? Like he's paid more, but it's less of the salary cap. But he's still the highest paid punter in football. Last season, he averaged 50.8 yards per attempt, second best in the NFL. He had 27 punts inside the 20, so he can flip the goddamn field, and he can pin you behind, inside the 10 on a regular basis. He's defense's best friend. And whatever little successes the defenses had at certain points, they needed to give an assist to AJ Cole. And punters never get love, and I understand why. But when you force every offense to go 80 yards or more every single drive, the entire team is doing better. The offense gets more time to rest. The defense has to, they don't have to do as much. It's almost like a turnover in a lot of ways. It's important to recognize what he's been doing for this team.
He really helps the defense out. It was something like 27 yards average per drive, per scoring drive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take a look at it, well, 27 yards, how do you score? Well, field goals. If a team gets the ball on the 35-yard line and they get 27 yards, that's like a 55-yard field goal, 56-yard field goal. That's totally makeable in today's NFL. These kickers are making that like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a guy that consistently puts teams inside the 20, or even better than that, consistently puts them beyond the 30, inside the 30. That's where it gets interesting because, 27 yards isn't going to do you anything. So he's definitely a weapon. And, it may be just a cultural thing with the franchise. We took a punter in the first round and Ray Guy, right? I'm not saying that Cole's Ray Guy, but
speak of the devil,
you do understand, Shane Leckler, all these guys, the Raiders do understand the importance of having a good kicker. You don't get better by getting worse at key positions. So pay AJ Cole's money. There's a couple other guys out there who are pretty good, and watch him get paid too. And it's a lower percentage of the salary cap that keeps going up as it was 4 years ago.
Why are Raiders fans so aware of good punting? Because we've been fucking doing it since drafting Shane Leckler in 2000, according to our good friend and Raiders super fan Josh Dubow. Raiders have averaged an NFL best 47.2 yards per punt. The gap between Raiders and second best team, the Rams, is the same as the gap between the Rams and the 24th ranked team. The Raiders' punting ability is just exponentially better than everybody. And you think it's bad, we've had some bad lean years during that time. Like imagine how much more points would have been scored on if teams didn't have to drive 80, 85 yards every single time they touched the ball. How about this guy, dude? The many haircuts.
He's a handsome guy, man.
Well, he goes from young and then the Bieber look, that the kids these days and their hip hop music, diet sodas and Bieber hair. And then he goes to clean cut. He probably had a girlfriend that wanted to clean it up for him. It's like, hey man, you got to look professional. And then he's like, fuck it, I'm rich. Long hair, mustache.
I do what I want.
There's 7 genres of music that he's had a haircut that he represents in the last 10 years.
He's a versatile guy.
And he's not going bald either. Look at that hairline. Just staying strong.
Some guys just got it, man.
Fucking asshole.
I was 24 and I was like, listen, what's going on here? Getting mighty thin up here and in the back.
All right. Ready to do some what Windbags?
Yeah, man. Let's get it done.
Unholy Roller 8R Frankie Moss 680. I didn't know you could put that many digits.
He took every single name he ever, all 7 of his AOL email names to put that together.
What if he was like, hey, I really wanted Unholy Roller 8R Frankie Moss Q 679, but it was already taken. So we
Damn
had
it.
680.
Or 68. He wanted 68. Damn it. Taken.
Pamela Anderson was hot with makeup. I used to know a guy that was an extra on Baywatch. He said she wasn't attractive at all without makeup. Unholy roller, I will come to your house and kill you. I will burn down your house and salt the earth so nothing grows again. If you dare admonish Pamela Anderson. She wasn't wearing makeup in those videos. She looked pretty damn good to me.
But Tommy Lee?
With Tommy, yes. No, the VIP show that she was in.
Because Tommy Lee was wearing makeup. He was wearing guy liner.
Tommy was. She wasn't.
No.
She's an angel sent from heaven. And we will not hear any bad talk.
How dare you
Pamela
besmirch
Anderson.
the good name of a prime late 20s, early 30s Pam Anderson.
She is an angel sent
Yeah,
from
now
God.
she's tagged. Now she's
awful. It's crazy how well Carmen Electra held up, though.
God.
See her in the dance? Like, jeez.
Dude, Carmen Electra, dude.
Done.
God damn, dude.
Howard Stern said it best. She's so hot, she's fake. It's like she's not real. Like she's an alien.
There's no way. You can't. Dude, Christy, have you seen Christy Brinkley lately? Good God, dude.
Maybe
It looks the same.
Maybe yeah. It's all that clean living.
Godly, something, or she's screwing the right plastic surgeon. Let's get a look at this, like in the Google machine, Christy Brinkley.
Roger, Googling. How old is she now? Late 60s, like mid 60s? She was like all woman in the 80s.
There's a couple of pictures out there of her, like right when she had surgery, but
Christy Brinkley is 71 years old.
bro, she just looks good for 71. Let me tell you.
Mother of God.
Let's see
Where's
here.
like a
Let me find
recent
a
photo?
decent picture of this lady.
There
There
you
we go.
That's
All
70.
righty. Let's get this thing popping, Poppy.
That's not bad at 70.
Right?
Great at 70.
Look, she looks really good at 70. Dude, look at that one when she's with freaking Billy Joel. Look at that one, dude. That's like right after the very young years.
Wait,
Right there,
young,
that one.
young.
God, dude. Look at dude. She's I know she's
You know
at
what it
work,
is?
whatever. She's 70.
You know what
she's
it
at
is?
work, but she's fucking gorgeous still.
The trick, she's always happy. Like there's like when you're always smiling, like what does it take? Like, X number of muscles to smile, X number of muscles to frown. It's like when you're always like happy and your eyes are bright and your smiles are big, you just look youthful. You keep it's attractive. All these like hot bitchy chicks. It's like, all right, dude, you got like 45 minutes of hot before the rigors of being super bitchy are going to wear on you. When you're just happy and positive and look at just giant smile everywhere.
Look at that one. Look at with the teased hair. Go to that one. That's a young Christy Brinkley. That lower.
The young. Yeah. Give me some young.
God. I recently saw an interview with Chevy Chase, and he's like, dude, she was the nicest person. Like she was a delight on vacation.
That's how they stay hot for so long. Good person.
Good vibes,
God blesses
man.
you.
That's why I'm so goddamn handsome.
Good energy, it's the key. Red Dirt 8R28. Bro, think about what you're saying. The NFL and Roger Goodell do not want to bastardize football to make it pussified. They would rather make it even more dangerous so more people tune in to watch the carnage. It's the NFL Player Association that wants to pussify football. This was in response to the Olympics, our flag football rant that I hate flag football in the Olympics. I hate NFL playing in it because they're just trying to bastardize football.
Red Dirt Raider. Let me go ahead and flip that for you. The NFL Players.
You're doing what you would do to Christy Brinkley there for a minute.
Little Texas switch on her.
And she's 70, so you could probably spread that wider.
That's all right. I'll still take it. No, that is the exact opposite of what's happening here.
Yeah.
The NFL Players Association did not have to pay a dime because of the CTE scandal. That is the NFL that had to pay all that. The NFL wants to make this game less injuries, so they have less to pay for as far as potential litigation down the road. that all that flag football is going to do is going to get more eyeballs on the game of football, which is going to help the NFL because they're really the only game in town besides college football. So that's it's flipped.
The NFL is opposite of wanting to make the game more dangerous. And think about it, like,
They don't want their freaking star players hurt.
they want their star players hurt. And you think of like all the fines and penalties for like farting near a quarterback. Do you think defensive players want to be paying these $30, $50, $70,000 fines for this for tackles that were totally fine 20 years ago? No, absolutely not. The players want, quarterbacks don't want it rough and tumble. Some wide receivers don't want it rough and tumble. But you ask linemen, any defensive player, Josh Jacobs got a 15-yard penalty because he ran over a dude too hard 2 seasons ago. These guys don't want the flag thrown every play. They want to play football. They don't want to get fined for playing the game the way they played it since they were 8 years old. No, it's Roger Goodell, because you know what it is? It's moms telling the husbands, I don't want little Timmy playing football. I heard about these concussions. I don't want him playing football. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of the perception of football being rough, limiting participation, which limits viewership. If you played football, you probably watch football. If you didn't play football, it's hit or miss, right? Everyone I played football with watches football. Guys who didn't play football, not, some of them do, right? Still a big sport, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So they can be like, oh, if we can turn football into flag football, moms will stop crying about it because it's safe. But all that does is make it not fun. It makes it not football. It makes it basketball and baseball. Thank God for UFC, man. They just eliminated the rule where you can't knee the head of a grounded opponent. They made it harder to be a grounded opponent. Like, as the NFL keeps trying to like bastardize football and turn it into pillow fisting, the UFC's like, how do we add an express lane of violence? This cage fighting? Let's add more weapons.
It keeps the action moving. Because that's why they were so active on the ground in Pride. Because if you sat there, you're gonna get kneed in the face.
You gotta move.
You gotta move. You gotta stay active. You can't just
the
sit
rules
there
don't defend you. Dominic 5. Leave Jeanty alone. Let the kid stand how he wants and be himself. Hey, Chip Kelly, we're playing football, not basketball. Jeanty is not a defender. He's a running back. You could tell it was a slow news week with how big Chip Kelly trying to get Ashton Jeanty to sit in a running back stance in the backfield, like how big that news was for like 4 days. Very slow news.
Yeah,
week.
it's going to be a non-issue in a couple of weeks. Once they did the first padded session, but he's fine. He'll be fine.
Well, the guy's so, and if you hear him, if you ask him, he says like, look, I'm short. I want to be able to see the defense. And so I stand upright, right? The higher I see, like I want to be able to see what's going on. He might be full of shit. And he just like kind of likes his kind of trademark standing, but it is a good point, right? We want the guy to be able to see over 6'6" guards and tackles. Like, all right. Yeah. If he needs to like stand up a little bit, it's not like he's running that way. Well, that's not true. He does run a little, he runs a little tall for a guy that short, but look, he's not standing. He's not running upright, It's not a gazelle.
For running that tall, the guys don't get too many clean hits on him.
Getting the job done, right? Low center of gravity, dude. I should have been a running back, man. Me and Jeanty, we're both short, arms and legs, all torso. So you're real close to the ground, real low center of gravity, easy to move. We're basically the same guy. Yeah, we're basically the same guy, me and Ashton Jeanty. Almost like we're virtually identical in both body style, skill set, playing ability.
Do you remember in the Ultimate Fighter that Artem and Conor McGregor were on?
Oh yeah, the legend Artem Lobov.
Yeah, and who was it? Uriah Faber was like, what's this guy's name? The Torso? Oh God, that was the funniest thing I've ever heard any fighter say. Besides, Rampage Jackson, a few was pretty funny, and Derek Lewis.
Chael Sonnen's top 100 is better than most people's top 5.
I didn't find him too funny. I found him entertaining, but not funny.
Dude, his whole thing when he was like, it was like a fake like a fake like pre-fight interview. He's like, you haven't seen the things I've seen. You haven't lived in the mean streets of Westland, Oregon. There are years when my dad didn't even make $100,000 or barely $100,000. But like we only had a maid come twice a week. You think those clothes picked up themselves? Who had to pick them up the other 2 days? Me. I had neighbors. They were twins. For their 16th birthday, they had to share a BMW. They didn't each get one. You haven't seen what I've seen. Like,
I don't think that's funny.
Oh, dude.
Teach their own. Some people do think he's funny, and that's fine.
All right, that's it for us. OTAs continue. Again, by the time you listen to this, we'll be 101 days away from Raiders playing football. The countdown has begun, boys. And I do mean boys because there's only like 7 girls who listen to the show. Be excited. It's go time. And until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.